We're going. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to you. My name is Lindsay. Welcome to my quarter past arts and crafts journal. This is a very casual little spot for me to come and just turn on the camera, record some of the things I've been making, and chat to other fellow crafting people out on the internet. So Christmas has come and gone, and I did it. I got all of my Christmas projects finished and came up with about 20 more projects for next year. I always find that once Christmas arrives and I get exposed to actually giving people hand-knitted gifts and feel how much joy that gives me, it inspires me for the next year and inspires me to think about the things that I would like to make people. So I think it's good to get a head start on projects like this when you're doing handmade things, because there's enough stress around the holiday season anyway, and so putting it on you to get all of these handmade presents done for your loved ones, at times it can take the love out of it and put a lot of strain into things, and I'm not about that. I want to be in a place where I can enjoy myself and enjoy the company of the people around me rather than focusing on having to meet a deadline. And so last year I told myself that, and everyone in my family, that Christmas was going to extend into March if it need be, just so that I could get everything done for people. And that was my way of just saying, you know, I want to make some stuff for you for Christmas. However, being able to find the time to do everything that I want to do isn't always realistic. So being able to just push Christmas on into springtime, it worked very well last year. But this year, everything got done. And now I get to kind of focus in a little bit on some projects that I would like to do for myself and I would like to just do for fun, don't have to worry about meeting that 25th deadline. So I've been fondling a little bit of yarn, which I'll talk more about later, but I want to show you first the project that I cast on. This was as I was nearing the end of all of my Christmas knitting and feeling like I just needed to have something different on the needles rather than Christmas gifts, because I was starting to feel that strain of wanting to get everything done on time, and then it wasn't as much fun, right, to work on things. So I wanted to work on something that was just pure fun, and it was this sweater and some Lopi yarn, which I've actually never knit with before. So I get excited when I get to try out a new texture of something. So I've just been reaching for this now that everything is done, and I've made some good progress on it already. This is the growing sweater pattern, and yeah, I have everything that I knit or I'm talking about all written down in the down bar in YouTube, so that I can keep track of everything and that you can keep track of things if you want to too, or if you want to go and look at the Ravelry page of stuff, it'll be easier for you to get to from there. But this is the growing cardigan, and I can't pronounce the name of this person, so I have it written down there, so you can go look at it if you want. But I have been enjoying this very much. The construction of it is something I've never done before, where you start off with a back panel and go from there. And I've just put the body stitches on hold so that I can do the sleeves, because I've recently discovered that it's much easier to pick up and do the sleeves before you've completed the body, so that you don't have to twist the whole all the fabric around in order to actually get it to knit it. So this is, two types of Lopi yarn from someone's very deep stash, I think, in this tan, warm taupe color and then a deep dark brown. And it's got, this dark brown has just got little tiny hints of gray and an amber color in it. So I'm just knitting these together to create this fabric. and I am enjoying knitting this very much. It's my style of knitting right now where I can just kind of tune out as I'm knitting. So it's been good for Christmas time and for long car trips to and fro from family gatherings. It's been perfect for that. And this is going to be for my friend. She very generously gifted me a bunch of Plotu Lopi earlier this year. I just wanted to find a way to thank her for all of that because it was a lot of yarn. And I decided I would knit her a sweater with some of the Lopi. We looked around and we're trying to decide what sort of sweater to make for her, and considering the characteristics of this wool too. She was at first wanting something a little bit more form-fitting, but with Icelandic wool, I would say this is more of an outerwear fabric. It is not super silky soft like something like this, a superwash merino yarn. It's very different texture. So something that was a little bit more on the positive ease, a bit more oversized, I thought would be a better fit for this yarn, so that she can layer shirts and different things underneath it. And so it's not directly on contact with her skin, and decided to stay away from shawl collars too, because that would creep up and maybe touch the neck. So this cardigan, the way I think it's going to fit, it will allow her to maybe put something like this, a more softer shirt or scarf underneath, and that she'll be able to put this on over top of everything else. And so I'm going to be making the long version of this because we have quite a lot of this yarn and might as well try and use it all up. So yeah, it's also got great big pockets on it, so I'm looking forward to keeping on knitting this sweater and putting great big pockets on. And I'm probably going to be making myself one of these too, because I bought some Briggs & Little yarn for it, and yeah, I can imagine myself getting a lot of wear out of a style of cardigan like this. But I'm going to test it out on my friend first and see how it looks on her and see how much. So far I'm really enjoying knitting it, so I can see myself knitting it again. So despite that, you know, Christmas has come and gone, and I don't have the gifts anymore to show you. I thought that I would maybe be able to take some footage on Christmas Day, but didn't get around to getting out the camera. Didn't feel right. So, but I do have one almost finished project that I still have left to show. So this is a woven piece that I did for my husband. It's more like he saw it and claimed it as his, because he really liked the color. And I did this with a Laceweight as the weft. For the warp I used a fingering weight, and this is all with Knit Picks yarn. I think this is the Paragon base, this right here. And then they had a 100% silk base, which I did for the weft in this deep dark purple. So it still needs to have the fringe done on here, and that's it, just the ends trimmed off. But yeah, it's kind of a tradition now, as he gets a new scarf from me every year. And last year I did him a hand spun, hand woven scarf, and he absolutely has worn that every day when in the colder months, and it probably could use a little break and a little depilling. So we'll get this one into the rotation really soon, as soon as I'm done the fringe. And so next what I have to record is some projects that are coming up soon. As I said, I was feeling more inspired to make things for family after this Christmas, because I didn't have a ton of time this year to knit for people as much as I wish I could have, but just life gets increasingly busy, it seems, as we get older and take on more responsibilities. So something that came into my mind, you know, like I love knitting people socks. It's something that it just feels like everybody can get wear out of and everybody appreciates for the most part. It's a little harder with knitting people accessories or sweaters, things like that, because you very much have to take into account people's style, and sometimes that can be hard to guess or hard to pinpoint. However, I wanted to branch out a little bit more from socks, and knowing that I wanted to do that, I know that I'm going to need more time. I'm not going to be able to make everybody something every year if I do bigger projects, but I think that's okay. I just really want to have everyone in my family have a sweater from me at some point. And so I've picked out the next person who is going to get a knitted garment from me. And it's going to be out of some yarn that I dyed. This is a superwash merino base, and it's in a mousy gray, sort of a taupey brownie gray that I love very much. So I've got 2 skeins of it, and then I have a few skeins of this gray brushed alpaca silk that I'm going to just pair with them, and I think it'll make a nice marled effect. So I think I'm going to do the Love Note sweater. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do out of this. I'm still in a little bit up in the air about the lace. I'm not sure if this person is really into lace so much. So, however, I like the looser gauge that this is knit at, and I think that it will be, I'll definitely have enough yardage with just 2 skeins because she's a more petite person. Yeah, so maybe I'll do a petite knits pattern. Her patterns are very simple, very straightforward in their appearance, so that might suit her more. I don't know. And I have to just think a little bit more on that. So that'll be one of the, I've got a few sweaters already lined up in mind that I think people will like, so I'm gonna, I'll kind of talk about those as I get to them. It's gonna have to just be one at a time. I'm still trying to do some work knitting, in the sense that I still want to knit samples for West Coast Color, and I still want to make things for myself and for all the people in my life. So trying to figure out how to time everything and make space for everything, it's a lot of organization, and I'm not always the best at doing that, especially with my crafting. That's the one place in my life where I really, really, really don't want to have as much structure, because I want to be able to kind of go with the flow and knit what I want to knit, Don't want there to be rules or expectations or things like that. Anyway, so I have yet to split these up because I'm sending half of each of these skeins back to my friend because she sent them to me, partly as a gift and partly for me to do a little modifying with some natural dyeing, because these were naturally dyed, and before they were in shades of quite pale purple and pink, and so neither of us are very much pinky people. More wanted to go with the more cooler tones, so all I did was put some iron in a bath and stick these in there for a little while, and out popped what looks to me like a grayish blue and a sort of a greeny blue. So it's kind of cool how it can change so drastically with just a small ingredient and a little bit of time. So very happy. These are some non-superwash sock base. This is from Woolly Mammoth Fibres, and I did a little modifying. This is not, again, a dig against the dyer. I'm a huge fan of her work, but when we received the yarn, it wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be, so just decided to add our little touch to it. And that's not saying anything against the dyer. I know that every dyer is trying very, very hard to capture color accurately, but it's just a matter of our screens. They're all calibrated differently, so try as hard as you want, but still, people's screens, it's just gonna come up differently. Technology is changing quickly, and our screens are getting better and better and more truer to color and truer to life, but you just, while shopping online, you gotta just kind of have that in the back of your mind that things might not always look exactly as you saw them on screen. But that's okay, especially when you're teaching yourself how to naturally dye and have some iron at home. So there we go. So I want to start knitting myself some more socks. That's something I would like to have in my wardrobe more this year. And I would like to try knitting them out of a non-superwash and see how they hold up. I know that they're going to felt a bit. I expect that. But I think that's okay. It's just my feet are super cold. And the thought of having completely natural wool on them, especially because I'm likely going to pair this with a mohair or an alpaca just for some strength in the heels and toes. I just think they're going to be really, really super cozy. Something just tells me that the all natural wool without any superwash, either coating or processing, is just going to be extra cozy for some reason. Yeah. So I'm just going to check how long I've been going here because I can't tell on this camera. 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Ooh, so it's going to be a rather shorter one today because I don't really have anything more to talk about. I guess I could talk to you just about my thoughts on consumerism and stuff at Christmas time. Because this is something that I've just been thinking a lot about this year, is about what am I buying and why, and is it something that's actually going to be useful and usable and not going to be just something that's going to collect dust in someone's closet or in a high up shelf or something somewhere. So that has very much already just caused me to shop a lot differently this year, and being on a budget has actually really helped too, because it's caused me to kind of think more creatively about what I want to buy and how I buy it. Where I'm at, there's a lot of opportunity to buy things secondhand, and it's a way for me to get really high quality things for not so much of a price because they've been pre-loved, and secondhand things, just we seem to let go of things for a lot less of a cost than we paid for them because we've got some use out of them, and I think it feels good too to know that something that you used and have for whatever reason stopped finding a use for is going to go to someone who's going to really appreciate it and get a lot more use out of it. So nothing is really going to waste. And I did a lot of shopping this year secondhand. Yeah, at first I felt kind of weird about it. It almost felt like I wasn't giving as good of a gift at first because it was secondhand, which is really actually kind of a strange way to think about things, because the thing is still excellent and good, even though it's been used a little bit. So, I had to kind of like think about that for a sec, why would I even feel that sense of like, oh, things are so much better when they're brand new, and that's, not always the case. Some things have a long lifespan and can be passed along, which is great. So I stuck to buying very practical things this year, like mugs, and I think the only kind of decor item I bought, or extraneous sort of thing, was a candle holder. And then I did knitting, so I gave people socks and little crafted ornaments. And then all of my Christmas decorations were either secondhand, or I tried to make things that I could compost, because I wanted to be able to have some new decorations next year, but I didn't want to be contributing to the landfill. So the thought of being able to do compostable Christmas decorations was like super exciting to me this year. So I worked a lot with burlap and twine and wool to make pom-poms and paper, and I did dried citrus, where I dehydrated some dried citrus and made some garlands out of that. Yeah, so I think for next year I'm going to keep trying to figure out what more things I could do that I could dispose of in a way that is not going to cause more harm. And I, already am thinking, what am I going to do for everyone next year? This is just the way I operate. I know I could probably give myself a little bit of a break, but I want to keep it on this sort of way of thinking of reusing things and looking for things secondhand. It requires a significant amount more effort to look for things secondhand because you're always having to go into the thrift shop and check for things. We also have an app here, so I'm checking this. It's called Garage Sale. It's this secondhand app that you can shop from people in your community. So I check that every day, kind of looking for things. But I talked to all of my family and anyone that I've been doing gift exchanges with in the past, and we all felt like, hey, it's time to drop the expectations for big, expensive Christmases now, because we're all getting older and all of our financial demands are going up as all of us are trying to take on more responsibilities and are wanting to have, our own places, have to pay for insurance, car, the list goes on and on and on. And so it's like, okay, next year we're going to save our money as much as possible. And then if a need comes up throughout the year, that's going to be something that, will help out with. So instead of just trying to buy things and guess for things that someone would like, well, we'll try and actually use that money in a more, helpful way throughout the year. But as someone who is very much a gift giver as part of their love language, at least that's how I feel, and I take a ton of joy out of planning gifts out for people, and I can't see myself just completely giving up gift giving. But I don't want people to feel like they have to reciprocate. I don't want that expectation to be built in there. I think like it makes the season more stressful rather than happy. And yeah, so it's, being a maker, it's like I'm never going to stop making for people, but instead of maybe giving people smaller gifts next year, I'm going to focus on giving a few people a larger gift, like a sweater or a blanket or something. And then I'll see what I come up with during the year. I might come up with another little crafty thing that I want to do for people. We'll see. Okay, I feel like that's over 15 minutes now, so I will go. Thanks so much for listening to me chat. And information about stuff is down there. So if you want to know more about things, it's there. And I guess I'll talk to you next time.